Now at 5 o'clock, 23-year-old Elijah McClain died 2 years ago after a violent encounter with Aurora police responding to a call of a man who appeared sketchy. McClain was walking home and officers put him in 2 chokeholds. Then paramedics injected him with ketamine. Now those officers and paramedics face criminal charges after a grand jury investigation. Good evening, I'm Karen Lee.
I'm Jim Benham, and that grand jury returned a total of 32 charges. The paramedics and 2 cops still on the job have now been suspended without pay. We have team coverage right now of the indictments. Our Kelly Worthman got reaction from McClain's mother, Shanine. Want to start, though, with Sean Boyd. Much more on those charges and this investigation. Sean?
And Jim, 2 current police officers and 1 former officer, along with 2 Aurora fire paramedics, are indicted on charges of manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide. Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser announced the indictment here today, nearly 9 months after the grand jury convened and almost 2 years to the day of Elijah McClain's death.
We're here today because Elijah McClain is not here, and he should be.
While the grand jury proceedings are confidential, here's what we know. According to the indictment, the 3 Aurora police officers held Elijah McClain on the ground. They remained on top of him despite pleas that he could not breathe. None of the officers checked his pulse or monitored his airway, breathing, or circulation. When paramedics arrived, they diagnosed him with excited delirium and injected him with 500 milligrams of the sedative ketamine. The indictment says the dosage was appropriate for a patient who weighed 77 pounds more, and that paramedics made no attempt to obtain his consent, did not properly monitor him, and that he suffered multiple predictable complications and never regained consciousness. The Adams County District Attorney at the time decided against charges. Weiser called the DA's review limited.
Whenever a person dies after an encounter with law enforcement, the community deserves a thorough investigation. We needed the grand jury and its enhanced investigative powers to obtain documents and compel testimony from witnesses that would otherwise we'd not be able to obtain.
While it is highly unusual for an AG's office to handle homicides, Weiser says his office will prosecute the case.
Our goal is to seek justice for Elijah McClain, for his family and friends, and for our state.
Now, the Attorney General's office is conducting a separate investigation to determine if Aurora Police and Fire have a pattern and practice of violating people's civil rights. Live in Denver, Sean Boyd covering Colorado First.
Sean, thanks. The Aurora Police Association issued a statement today saying immediately after Elijah McClain's death, Chief Metz, now the former chief, stated clearly that McClain was not murdered by our officers. Nothing has changed. Our officers did nothing wrong. McClain, they say, died due to a combination of exertion due to his decision to violently resist arrest and a pre-existing heart condition. That association represents about half of Aurora's police officers.